If you pick the wrong neighborhood here, you don't just get annoyed, you get flat equity. But if you pick the right one, you don't just live better, your investment can double down. That's the difference between chasing cheap and choosing smart money. Hey, I'm Megan Luker. I'm a military wife, a mom, and I PCS to Virginia Beach over 35 years ago. Since then, I've helped hundreds of families lock in before everyone else shows up. And today, I'm going to show you how to do the same around NAS Oceana. So here's the philosophy I live by. I believe real estate should be built on trust, transparency, and showing up on time with the right strategy so my clients feel protected, empowered, and confident at every step. So let's talk about the 5 factors that decide whether your move explodes your quality of life or quietly drains it. The Navy and the city uses AICUZ maps to measure aircraft noise around the base. If your home falls into the 70 to 75 decibel range or higher, you're not just hearing aircraft, you're living inside a flight path. But numbers on a map don't explain daily life and what that actually feels like. Let me paint a picture. Imagine you've just PCSed and you're living in Ocean Lakes. You invite a few friends over for a Saturday barbecue, you're outside flipping burgers, holding a spatula, and in mid-sentence about to deliver the punchline to a great joke. And suddenly, jets roar overhead and nobody shouts and nobody complains. Everyone just stops talking. You stand there for 15 or 20 seconds while the rumble fades away. Then, without missing a beat, you just finish the joke exactly where you left off. That moment is what locals call the OCEANA pause. We don't even realize we're doing it anymore. It's second nature to us. But for a new spouse, a baby trying to nap, or someone working from home, it can be a real adjustment. In high-impact areas like Ocean Lakes, you'll experience that pause daily. In places like Red Mill, the noise is still there, but usually at a lower altitude or less frequently. And as you move farther out to areas like Kempsville or North Great Neck, the noise drops off significantly. Sellers are required to disclose noise zones, but a disclosure form doesn't tell you how it feels to live there. My job is helping you decide honestly what your noise tolerance is, because that's the one decision that affects everything else. One of the most confusing things for PCS families is how home age works in Virginia Beach. You might see 2 homes at the same price and wonder why one feels charming and solid while the others feel newer and more open. That's because Virginia Beach grew in very specific waves. I worked with a couple recently who wanted that classic HGTV, too big, look big, trees, character, maybe even a bit of a project. We started looking north towards Great Neck and Little Neck. These homes were built in the 1950s, 60s, and 80s. Solid brick, large yards, incredible bones. They walked in and loved the feel until reality set in. They turned to me and they said, "Megan, to open this up, we'd have to tear down the walls, and that's the trade-off." In the north and west parts of the city, like Kempsville or maybe Salem, you get established neighborhoods and mature trees. But you also get smaller compartmentalized rooms. Then we went south of the base to areas like Red Mill and Castleton. Here the homes were built in the 1990s and early 2000s, and with 2-story foyers, open kitchens, and primary bathrooms with real space. The trade-off there is smaller trees, HOAs, and being physically closer to the rural edge of the city. There's no right or wrong answer. The real question is whether you want old school charm with a project or plug and play suburban living. Now let's talk numbers, because this is where PCS stress usually shows up. Your BAH matters, but what it buys depends on entirely where you use it. In the 300 to 400,000 range, we often look at places like Dam Neck Estates or Strawbridge. These are smaller homes close to the base. They're functional and usually built in the 1980s. The 600,000 range is what I call the sweet spot, and it's also the most competitive. Castleton is a great example. Castleton is popular with officers and senior enlisted, and for that reason, the grand entryways, large rooms, and a very polished feel. But here's the reality check I always give my clients. You walk into a Castleton home built in the 1999-2000 range, and it looks modern. It feels updated. And then you walk outside and look at the HVAC unit and the roof, and if those systems aren't original, then if they are original, you're looking at $20,000 to $30,000 expense waiting to happen. When I tour homes with PCS families, I'm not just admiring countertops, I'm checking dates on mechanical systems so you don't get hit with a surprise bill 6 months or so after you move in. If you want brand new construction, we usually have to go further south towards Pungo or Princess Anne, where prices quickly climb into the $700,000 to $800,000 range, and you get the upgrades, but way more on your budget. People ask me all the time, Megan, what's the best neighborhood? And my answer always the same. Do you hate traffic or do you hate noise? Let me give you a real example. It's 6:45 in the morning. You live in Red Mill. You're technically only 10 minutes from Oceana, but so is everyone else. You hit General Booth Boulevard and suddenly it's a parking lot. The insider knowledge is there is a back gate to Oceana, which makes neighborhoods like Castleton or Pine Ridge super accessible for the early morning commute. Ocean Lakes gives you the fastest commute and excellent schools, but the highest noise levels. Red Mill adds about 5 minutes to the drive and has great shopping and slightly less noise. Great Neck offers beautiful established neighborhoods with longer but more predictable commute through older infrastructure. So there's no perfect answer, just better informed decisions. Now let's talk strategy. Because I know the conversation you're having at the dinner table, do we rent or do we buy? The rental market here is tight, landlords know the BAH rates, and finding a good rental from across the country can be frustrating. This is where being a military family gives you an advantage. Sellers in Virginia Beach are comfortable with VA loans, but condition matters, especially in older neighborhoods. When I walk through a home, I'm looking at it with VA eyes. If it won't pass inspection, we don't write the offer. If you're here for 3 years or longer, buying in a stable areas like Red Mill or Salem has historically been a strong equity play. And because military turnover never stops, resale and rental demand stays consistent. So here's the lightning round. Noise numbers on a map don't explain what it's like to live here. Home age always comes with trade-offs. BAH only works when you factor in future costs. Commute versus schools is always a trade-off. And military strategy means thinking about resale before move-in. Don't wait for the headlines to tell you Virginia Beach is hot. By the time that happens, the competition explodes and smart money is already locked in. In the description below, you can book a Zoom call with me, and I will open up Google Maps and personally walk you through the neighborhoods, the noise zones, and the commute routes, so you can choose with confidence before everyone else. Welcome home. This is real life, Virginia Beach.